welcome back. We're ready to start our first 200 million year segment of the Proterozoic or Proterozoic era. We have a couple of organisms. They're at the point where they might be able to turn into macroorganisms. All depends on player order and what happens with this event card that we're going to draw right now. Cryogenian snowball. Nothing is an active landform. Everything's locked down in ice. There will be no broiling of decks because nothing is active, so definitely won't miss it this turn. And we're going to see our first drought event, the Age Mega Drought. The drought affects all terrestrial organisms. We don't have any terrestrial organisms out. We still have microorganisms, and then we may have some water organisms that come out, but we don't have anything that's living on the land yet that will be affected by drought. But if we did, for every drought icon, those terrestrial organisms would suffer an atrophy. For each icon that they were not protected against, they would have to have a drought shield. We are going to have a double O2 spike though. The Avalon and Cambrian explosions occur. All of our organisms have to defend themselves against a double O2 spike. Our red player's organisms, here we have the PNA template, who luckily has 3 green entropy chromosomes, protecting that one easily from that double spike. And the Amyloid Hydrolysis has 2 entropy chromosomes, also protecting it from the double O2 spike. Let me put that back. I accidentally knocked that off. But sadly, our cyanobacteria here only has its green bion, providing it 1 shield from the O2 spike. So one is going to get through and cause an atrophy, and the only thing it has right now is this cytochrome mutation. The home row for that macroorganism is the ocean, so cytochromes will go back to the home row. Next, we have a cooling period. We went from a warm back to cold again, and our first player is green. I want the red player to go first before the green. So I'm going to use a rule that I haven't talked about yet, other than pointing out that there's these icons on the card. You see the HGT icon? That will allow our red player to go first because of the rule of wantonness, which means that whoever has the most HGT mutations on organisms that they reside in gets to declare themselves as the first player by having the most wantonness. We would have been tied just a minute ago, but actually thanks to that O2 spike, it knocked that mutation out off the cyanobacteria that had wantonness on it. We would have had 1-to-1. But luckily for us, the only card that has it on it right now is the Bacteriorhodopsin. So that means that the red player, since the red player is the only one with bions residing in that organism, is able to claim wantonness and be the first player this round. Then player order will proceed as according to the card with the leftmost symbol. So the green player will go directly next, which is the player order anyway, and we'll just continue around the table as usual. Also, before I take that turn, I want to mention something that was pointed out to me on Board Game Geek. This card, the Salmonella, has an error on it. This should be yellow, not green. So we should have the ability to steal red and blue, and the ability to steal blue and green. I'm sorry, blue and yellow, because this green cube should be yellow. I'll try and remember that for the rest of the game. Maybe between takes I'll find a little sticker that's yellow to put on there so I don't forget about it. But that's a printing error with the first edition. The red player, for their assignment, they have their bionts in both of these organisms, 2 in the PNA template, 1 in Amyloid Hydrolysis. Because I have the HDT ability, I could remove one of the red bionts and reassign it somewhere else, but I'm hoping to flip this organism to macro, so I want to actually keep them in there to make that organism a little stronger. So I'm not going to move any of my bionts around. I am going to assign, though, this green disc, this green catalyst, to amyloid hydrolysis as a vitamin or an antioxidant. If it's the blue, yellow, or red catalyst, it's an antioxidant. If it's the green, it's a vitamin. The blue, yellow, and red would protect against one O2 attack or an O2 spike. It can defend against it by expending it or discarding it. So you would have to discard the blue, yellow, or red one. And you can assign as many catalysts as antioxidants or vitamins as you want. But with the green one as a vitamin, it adds an additional oxygen shield along with the ability to expend it to deflect an O2 spike. So it adds an additional shield, and then if you also discard it, it'll block another O2 spike. So it can block two, or you could just use it as a shield and leave it in place without expending it and have it only deflect one O2 spike. This one already has 3 on it, but maybe one of them might get stolen by another organism. What I'll do is I will assign, from the red player still, 1 yellow catalyst as an antioxidant to help protect it a little bit more. Our green player will now go as according to the Cryogenian Snowball card as the first player, after red had claimed with wantonness. Their biont is here on the warm pond on an inactive landform, which leaves it locked in. I don't want to use any more catalysts to protect my microorganism there, my parasite, from an O2 attack. I'm not too worried about losing that green biont because I do have one already residing in the organism in case we're able to turn it into a macroorganism, which will bring us over to yellow. Since there are several microorganisms for the yellow player to choose to try and steal cubes from, first I'm going to determine which side of the card it's going to play this round, and then we'll see where they could go and then determine it from there. 1, 2, and 3, it'll stay on malaria here, and higher flips it. So it'll stay here on malaria. Our malaria card here can steal green and blue. It definitely has green cubes that it could steal from the PNA template, and it has 2 different blue cubes to choose from also. It has two to choose from there and two to choose from here from amyloid hydrolysis, but neither one has green and blue available for it. So first I'll decide, is it going to go after the PNA template or amyloid hydrolysis? Normally a parasite would try to attach itself to the organism that would give it the most cubes allowable, but since it cannot attach to either one and take 2 cubes, it's only going to be able to take 1. That's why I'm determining randomly which one it's going to attach to. 1, 2, and 3 will be the PNA template, the others amyloid hydrolysis. It's going after amyloid hydrolysis and those blue cubes. There are 2 different mutations with blue cubes. We have the mRNA, and then we have the nerve net. So again, 1, 2, and 3 for mRNA, higher nerve net. It's going after that blue cube in the nerve net. And that is going to knock off our cyanobacteria because it has no cubes on it. So it's going to get supplanted by malaria. Who is going to take the blue cube from nerve net. The green player will get its biont back with compensation of a green catalyst. Next up we have our blue player, the AI parasite, and we'll determine which side it is going to use. 1, 2, and 3 it'll stay here on viroid, and it will stay there and try to steal red and green cubes. Our viroid is trying to steal red and green cubes. The PNA template has a green cube available to steal, actually 2, and amyloid hydrolysis has a red cube available to steal, but no green. So the viroid could not go after amyloid hydrolysis because malaria already has a cube, and again viroid would have to take 2 cubes in order to supplant malaria, and the AI parasites cannot become hyperparasites, but in this case it wouldn't be able to because malaria does not have any mutations anyway. Viroid is going for the PNA template, but it has 2 green cubes. It has a Calvin cycle and a bacteriorhodopsin. So we'll roll 1, 2, and 3, Calvin cycle. And it is passing the Calvin cycle right up and going after the green cube on bacteriorhodopsin. Our blue player attaches his viroid parasite and steals the green cube from bacteriorhodopsin. This will conclude the assignment phase and take us into the autocatalytic roll. The only one we have to do is for the green biont on the warm pond. We're in a cooling period, so only 1s and 2s are going to organize mana. And we got a 5 and a 6, which is going to cause mana death and knock our green biont off. Our green player is removed from the warm pond and gets a green catalyst in compensation, taking us to our ever important Darwin rolls. First Darwin roll we'll do for PNA template, 2 bionts and 3 cubes. Well, that looks pretty good. Some 2s, 3s, and 4s in here. A couple of 1s, which is going to help the PNA template out by metabolizing some catalysts, blue catalysts, 2 for each one. So we're going to get 4 blue catalysts, which will max us out for blue on that player. We have an error, but we have a heredity chromosome to protect against it. Good thing, because we did not have any yellow specificity chromosomes to re-roll. So that turned out pretty darn good. But unfortunately, when we come to our purchase phase soon, viroid still in that cube is going to keep us from going macro. Next up for our red, we have our big guy here, Amyloid Hydrolysis. 2 bionts and 6 cubes we're going to have to roll. Luckily, we have some promoted mutations, so only 6s will affect us for errors. Alright, let's sort all this out. Got some 2s, triple 3s, a 1, 4, a couple of 5s, and a 6. Okay, for our 1, we're going to receive 1 yellow catalyst. For our triple 3s, we will receive an additional yellow catalyst. Now we have 1 error, and I'll go ahead and re-roll it in the hopes to maybe get another 1 or triple up on the 2s or 5s. Nope, we just rolled another 6, but we're protected from our heredity chromosomes, which we had 2 of. Green does not have any organisms of its own to do the Darwin roll for, bringing us to malaria here that has a biont and a cube to roll, and ended up with double 4s and a 6. The 6 is an error, but we can re-roll it, and we will, because maybe we will get another 4. And we did! Triples. That'll give us a catalyst. The catalyst will be yellow, because that's the color the malaria is, and it goes to the player that the organism resides in. And finally, we have our viroid, who also has a biont in the cube, and is very safe, with no errors at all. That'll finish our Darwin rolls and take us into our purchase phase with the red player going first. And we finally get to do what we've been waiting for. We're going to go macro. We need a red, 2 yellows, a green, and a blue. The red we have covered, the 2 yellow cubes we have covered, the green we have covered, and we have 2 blue but only need a single one. We're going to spend 1 catalyst from the red player to convert amyloid hydrolysis into lamp shells. Here we have our lamp shells, and as I stated, I had to have a red, 2 yellow, a green, and a blue in undiseased cubes. They have to be cubes, they cannot be bionts to make this purchase. And these represent the system chromosomes that are required. And I spent a catalyst in order to go from microorganism to macroorganism, and that could have been a catalyst of any color from the owner's tableau. Now I have to discard all of the cubes that are required for this promotion. The red, 2 yellow, a green, and a blue. Additional cubes that we have that are in excess of what was required to purchase this card will now go into the organ section. We have 1 blue cube, and there is a spot on here for 1 blue cube. Love Darts Pearls, which is going to give us a Red Queen ability. So we'll take that additional cube and place it on the lamp shells. Once I get all this cleared off, I'll put the card on amyloid hydrolysis. In addition to this blue one, you can see that there's several of organ slots. There's 2 more green, 2 more yellow, and a red. If we fill up all of those organ slots, then this organism will make landfall and turn to its other side. And you don't have to pay a catalyst in order to go from the ocean waterborne creature to a terrestrial creature. You just have to have all the organ spots filled. Next, let me show you the trophic levels here. The trophic level represents plants, herbivores, and carnivores. You'll take the biont of the owner, which is red, and place it on the bottommost, which is P for plant, and it resides in the plant trophic level. If we have other organisms, then that may change, but for now, lamp shells is going to start out at the bottom trophic level. These additional bionts that are on here, whether they're in a parasite or foreign genes, they will now enter into the organism as endosymbionts. Let me move these out of the way and show you. We have a yellow and a green, so the green will go here as gut bacteria, and the yellow will go here as mitochondria, and that will give us a cancer shield. And when that comes up on an event, I'll explain how the cancer and the cancer shield works. But for now, they will get added in, become part of the family here. On our lamp shells card. The mutations are sent back to the home row, so these will go back to the ocean. The yellow player's card will go back to the yellow player, and any additional tokens are discarded back to the soup. Now that we're a macroorganism, we no longer have to make a Darwin roll for the lamp shells. Macroorganisms do not need to make Darwin rolls. Also, when you create a macroorganism, if we were not already in the Proterozoic era, the macroorganism causes an oxygen crisis and ushers the game into the oxygenated era. We're already there, so we don't have to worry about it. But if we were not there, if you managed to make a macroorganism before you're into this era, then you would discard all the remaining cards from the other eras, and then on your next round, the first Proterozoic era card would be the one that you would do for your event. And then one more additional thing, the green, blue, and red bionts and cubes, whether they're endosymbiont, system chromosomes, organs, or trophic level bionts, they still impart their protection properties. Green will still give us an oxygen shield, blue will now give us a cancer shield, and red will still give us a heat shield to protect us from extremophile events. I think I got most of it with going macro included in all those things that I said. If there's anything that I missed, let me know so I can add an annotation to the video, or if there's something I didn't say clearly enough. We're still in the red player's purchase phase, and it has 2 bionts in the PNA template and plenty of catalysts ready to spend. Luckily, we have the spore ability, which treats all of these as a home row, so we don't have to worry about them being inactive. We do have a 2 green and a blue cube. Now we want to make our choice to see if there's another organism that we will be able to purchase and go macroorganism again. Seaweed is what we were going for before our green cube was stolen, so I want to get a green mutation added on, so I'll have the 3 green and the 1 blue necessary. We have 2 green mutations out here. This one imparts the red queen ability. This one gives us red queen and HGT and spore also. I'm going to go for the digestive enzymes. I'm going to purchase a green, so I will need 2 catalysts to use through chemoselectivity to purchase the digestive enzymes. And that will give us the additional green cubes that we need in order to go to that macroorganism. And that was one purchase with 1 biont in there. Now I have another biont and I can make another purchase. For my second purchase, I'm going to spend 1 yellow catalyst and purchase quorum sensing. A red queen, HGT, but I wanted to be able to make 2 purchases in the next round. Plus it'll give me an additional yellow cube. Well, not an additional, my only yellow cube, which allowed me to reroll 1 die. Our green player will now go, and it has an endosymbiont in the lamp shells, so it can make a purchase using the owner's tableau. We have a couple of yellow spots there. The blue one is full. We got 2 green, 2 yellow, and a red to take care of. We'll start out simple, and we'll purchase with 1 yellow catalyst to grab a yellow cube and purchase a heart and blood, which will also impart an additional oxygen shield for our lamp shells. After green, we have our yellow player who was malaria. Their biont was absorbed into the lamp shells as an endosymbiont, so that player no longer has a biont and malaria has gone extinct. And last but not least, our viroid player, blue here, is going to make a purchase. All these rows are shut down, so it can only purchase from the home row, which is a continent landform, and we have a blue TM RNA available for it. So it will purchase that, and that will give it a heat shield, a red queen, and some HGT. It's a pretty good purchase for a parasite. And it's going to cost 1 blue from red's tableau. That 200 million years was very productive. We were able to create a macroorganism. No longer is it only microscopic life in the ocean. Now we have some lamp shells. We're 4 organs, 2 green, a yellow, and a red, away from making landfall and becoming a terrestrial organism. Right now there's nothing to compete with us but PNA template. If the situation goes right, should be able to go into a macroorganism and become seaweed. Yellow got eliminated, kind of. It's an endosymbiont, but malaria has been made extinct. Things are starting to progress. Looking forward to the next round. Here we go.